With Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares out and John Elkann in, Stellantis is still in turmoil. With no upcoming Halo products coming that Americans get excited about, what can Stellantis do to bring customers back into the showrooms? What if I told you that the revival of a few key trims could quickly turn around the fortune for Stellantis? So let's explore 6 key models that Stellantis should revive, some easier than others. It's that time of year again where you need to save as much money as you can to buy the gifts for everyone else and including yourself. So my friends at Just Bolt-Ons and Drag Racing Wheels have you covered. In case you need anything like exhaust systems, sticky Mickeys, catch cans, tonneau covers, whatever, my friends at Just Bolt-Ons and Drag Racing Wheels have some of the best prices online. And with my promo code BUTTER that you use at checkout, you can save up to an additional 15% off on your next order. So check out my friends at Just Bolt-Ons, DragRacingWheels.com, where some of the best prices online just got a little bit better. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram are 4 brands that are struggling literally the first year that all their Halo products have been canceled. Even though the HEMI engine wasn't the most sold engine within Stellantis or FCA in the past, it brought customers with deeper pockets into the showrooms, and those customers in turn also purchased other products either for themselves or family members. And I'm sure we know plenty of Mopar customers and Mopar friends who own more than just one Mopar product at the same time. But this is a long way of saying my over 37,000 friends and the 65% of you guys not subscribe that the HEMI engine was significant. It had the power, it had the sex appeal, and it had the cachet to carry car culture to new levels. And as I said earlier, the first year when the HEMI was canceled, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram are all failing across the board. And in searching for a current active trademarks that I did on the patent office, I picked 6 Stellantis vehicles that they should consider bringing back, which I think will bring enthusiasm back to Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. I picked at least 1 vehicle from each brand that is currently discontinued, and I'll go over the easiest ones to bring back first, going to the hardest ones. So let's start with the easiest of the 6 to bring back, the Ram TRX. Discontinued this year as a 2024 model, the 702 horsepower, 6.2 liter supercharged HEMI V8 Ram TRX was replaced with a 2025 Ram RHO that is sporting only a measly 500 horsepower and a 3.0 liter high output Hurricane inline 6 engine. So far in 2024, Ram has suffered negative 20% sales each quarter for 3 straight quarters. And even though the Ram 1500 has been updated inside and out, the only really difference between last model year and this model year is the 5.7 is missing, the 6.2 liter HEMI engine is missing, and in their place is only a Hurricane. As far as I can tell, when I first reported on the RHO a year ago, the only thing that Ram changed out of the TRX to the RHO is basically the engine and put in a weaker transmission from the regular Ram 1500 pickup trucks. And I think that Ram can easily do a simple swap and they can have a TRX return within a single model year. And they can still have the RHO still living beneath it with either a Hurricane, or I would personally recommend it having a 392 option. But the return of the TRX will be a quick fix, stimulate sales, and leads Ram onto a pathway to replace the 5.7 HEMI back into the regular Ram 1500 that is suffering from people not wanting to actually buy this thing. Number 2 on my list is the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. Now the Trackhawk was a 707 horsepower, 6.2 liter supercharged HEMI beast that could destroy most cars on the street. Now this was a very stealthy model in appearance, it being the ultimate sleeper with only the supercharged emblem and the Brembo brakes giving it away, and it's basically just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now it will discontinue in 2022. The 4th generation of the Grand Cherokee was being phased out, while they also brought in the 5th generation, which is the current one that does not have a Trackhawk replacement. Jeep has said that it was going to bring back another performance Grand Cherokee, but it said it was going to be electric, but we are still yet to see it, and we'll probably see it after they do their modifications. I think they're going to do maybe 2026 based on the UAW's contract that they had. There was once a 5.7 Hemi inside of this 5th gen Grand Cherokee that is current, but that particular trim and engine was discontinued for the 2023 model year. But Jeep could basically revive the 5.7, put it back into the Grand Cherokee, and revive 2 more models. Actually, they can actually go back and put the 392 and make the 392 SRT Grand Cherokee again. So that'd be 2 models they can save, and then they can go and make the Trackhawk again with a 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi. Try saying that fast. So Jeep could really turn around the Grand Cherokee and stimulate sales with the introduction of these 3 models. Now, this could be a start that they need to revitalize Jeep. Hopefully they do so, and they keep the Wrangler 392 and perhaps make a 392 Gladiator at the same time, which they could stimulate those sales, because the Wrangler and the Gladiator, those sales had dropped. And I think honestly what they could also do for Jeep is actually make a Escalade V fighting Grand Wagoneer Hellcat, or Grand Wagoneer Trackhawk, or they can call it a Grand Wagoneer Fat Hawk or whatever, given the sheer size of a Grand Wagoneer, as big as it is. The only problem I have with Jeep in trying to even recommend them having a model is pricing, because Jeep was trying to charge over $100,000 for a 392 Wrangler, and that is insane. And you consider just a couple years ago, the final Trackhawk was $91,000 in its final year. Now, Jeep needs to lower their pricing, and I think that customers will return to that brand and especially flock to a Escalade V fighting Grand Wagoneer Hellcat. I think that would be a pretty cool model to do, as long as it's not $150,000 undercut, you know, Cadillac, but maybe like $20,000-$30,000, make it like 120, something like that. And I think the Grand Wagoneer Hellcat would sell. Number 3 on my list is the Dodge Viper, the ultimate manual-only sports car, debuted in 1992 as a direct response to the Chevy Corvette. But in 2017, the Viper has ceased production, and then 2 years later, in 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there, Chevy introduced the Corvette, and it was basically an all-new design with a new mid-engine Stingray, and Stellantis has now put forth a worthy competitor, worthy of dethroning the Corvette. Now, this is a project that I'm pretty sure that Ralph Giles has been wanting to get greenlit ever since, because I remember seeing him on a podcast, I think like a year ago, saying that he's been wanting to bring the Viper back, but the bean counters at Stellantis won't let him do so. And I think that the Viper will be an awesome model to resurrect, especially now with all the crap that's going on. Now, this is number 3 on my list because there is not a base car already in production to where they can easily put a Viper badge on it and release it. At least with the TRX, the RHO's in production, has all the same suspension components, has all the same four-wheel drive system stuff on it. And at least with the Trackhawk, they can easily throw a Hemi into one of the current versions that already had a 5.7 in it just a year ago, and they can make a Trackhawk. But with the Viper, is going to take something a little bit more special. Stellantis is going to have to either design either a new Viper from scratch, or in my honest opinion, they can reuse a car that is already in existence, the Maserati MC20. Now, the MC20 is made with a twin-turbo V6, a carbon fiber monocoque, mid-engine, and has butterfly doors. Features that, other than if you discount the engine, all those other features will make the Viper, the new Viper, more appealing than the Corvette. Really, the only downside would be the cost, since the MC20 starts off at the $200,000 range. The thing that sucks about that, it costs that much and it only has a V6 in it. Now, maybe if Ralph Giles is allowed to maybe modify the body and maybe extend that mid-bay a little bit, that way he could actually put in a bigger engine, and maybe, just maybe, John Elkann would allow Dodge to share a Ferrari V12 engine and ditch the V6 from the MC20. If Dodge can make a V12 Viper in the $150K range, which is where you'd be at if you wanted a decent spec Chevy Z06, I would know because I have one that's like $170,000. I would just say that this would be an instant hit because I always prefer the Viper over the Corvette. I'm just saying, but if they make an actual automatic Viper, especially since they had to use the MC20 and won't have a manual option, I think that the Viper will appeal to a larger audience, and then it'll be able to start taking sales from the Corvette. This is one car that I've made other videos on, and whether or not they use the Viper name or use the Tomahawk trademark that they still currently have, this car, in my opinion, would be awesome if they could get a V12 from Ferrari and it just be shared between Ferrari and Dodge in one particular car. It wouldn't necessarily be that much of a leap in order to get a V12 from Ferrari. From what I was watching on Doug DeMuro's video when he reviewed the MC20, it has the same mirrors from Ferrari vehicles already on the MC20. So they're basically already part sharing stuff. And John Elkann just basically made the call to his own company that he's the chairman of, say, hey, I want to give you, the Dodge guys a V12 from one of our models. Go ship it up to Italy or wherever Maserati is at, and we're going to make a Viper from Italy with a V12 and ship it over to America. Honestly, with the new Viper, it should go mid-engine if it does come back. Chevy hit a home run with the Stingray by making it a mid-engine car, and they made it affordable to the average working person. And perhaps Stellantis can make a V12 available to fans and Mopar fans too. That's going to be available and be accessible to the average working guy, because the Demon 170 in the day, that was $120,000. And so I don't think it's outside the realm to ask for maybe $150,000 V12 mid-engine Viper. Just saying. Now, number 4 on my list is the return of the Dodge Neon. Now, the Neon was a small, cheap, bare bones car that was very affordable back in the day. Then you step up to the SRT Neon, and I remember seeing these things run around as unicorns competing with Honda Civics and other tuner cars during my high school years back then. But Dodge discontinued the SRT Neon at the 2005 model year, and the Neon has still lived on with a cult following. And I think this is a vehicle that Stellantis should consider reviving. Now, maybe they thought that the Hornet, that would be basically a Neon replacement, but it has not taken off. And honestly, I don't think it never should have been based on a non-selling Alfa Romeo vehicle that customers don't buy anyway. Now, maybe, just maybe, Dodge might rebrand the Mexican Dodge attitude that's down there as a new Neon and bring it to America. I think that could work, but with the failure of the Dodge Hornet, Dodge may not be able to stomach yet another potential flop, because literally all their budget vehicles, all of them have been flops. The Nitro was a flop, the Caliber was a flop. Heck, we had the Avenger, the Intrepid. So we had a lot of models that were budget, and it was all trash. Now, I was in talks with someone earlier this year, and they were really wanting to bring back a budget vehicle back to Dodge.
Now, if that wasn't enough, and you're really paying attention, and you're really quick with the math,
this will allow the average guy to afford it, modify it, and the customization that the Brotherhood has done, people do with their Challengers and Chargers. This could be brought onto this new budget car, and this could be something that could bring a lot of enthusiasm back to Dodge. It just remains to see whether or not Dodge will, or really Stellantis will actually give Dodge the green light to step back into the smaller vehicle market, or will they just say, nah, we'll stick with the Hornet and be done with it. Number 5 on my list is the Chrysler 300, and I'll dub this particular Hellcat trim the Halcyon trim. But with a Charger 4-door model coming next year, there should be no problem in making a new 4-door Chrysler 300. But the problem is that the Chrysler brand has long been dying well before Stellantis, and this brand just has no identity to it. I thought the Chrysler, in my eyes, over the past several years, should have been like the AMG of like FCA or Stellantis. It should have been like a luxury trim in my eyes. The highest quality trims and the engines all go into this one brand, and it goes and takes on the Germans like Mercedes-Benz and BMW, go take on Audi, go and put a vehicle that would go toe-to-toe with those brands and steal customers away from them. And having a 300H, which the Halcyon, the Hellcat 300H, I think it'll go together. You pair that with a 6.2 liter supercharged HEMI V8 with awesome styling, I think that car could sell like hotcakes. I remember when the 300 first came out, it was a hot seller. And I think that it never having a Hellcat trim just doesn't make any sense. But Chrysler, like I said, is a brand without an identity. And I think they should target the luxury market with this one brand. have a new 300, maybe delete one of the Wagoneer models and rebrand it as like a Chrysler Aspen, have it be a luxury trim, and then either bring over a rebadge, either smaller Cherokee or rebadge Grand Cherokee, bring that over to the brand, rebrand it as something else. And you can literally give Chrysler like a whole lineup of vehicles that already exist, but just make sure the quality in those particular vehicles are actually the ones just like able to go toe to toe with European cars. I think Chrysler could be put back on the map. Last but not least on my list is a new Dodge Cuda. But in the case of the Charger going to be basically a 2-door and a 4-door going forward, the new Dodge Cuda could be a smaller vehicle and perhaps take on the Mustang directly. I haven't seen a Charger Daytona in person, but I just Googled the size compared to a Dodge Challenger, and it seems as though the Charger Daytona is actually bigger than the Dodge Challenger. Maybe Dodge can make this new Cuda slot in the Mustang and the Camaro pony car size and really make things very interesting. The Charger 2-door and the 4-door could be drag strip models, and the Cuda, while being smaller, could be a jack of all trades. A 2-door only version could be basically a 1320 on a drag strip, and then it can also have an ACR version, taking that trim from the Viper, and it can have basically a 2-door nice track version. But a Cuda is not out of the realm because that was an abandoned idea that Dodge had built prototypes for several years ago. And they showed it to the dealers in Vegas, then they scrapped it, and then they just drawn out the Challenger and the Charger lineup until basically this year. So maybe a direct Mustang fighter with a bare bones interior, a cheaper price, and some good engine options, and maybe we could have a clear winner here. Whether it's the return of the Cuda or maybe the return of the Challenger trim, just make it smaller than the current Charger, and there are plenty of options that Dodge can have if they have these two vehicles in their lineup. While bringing back the TRX and the Trackhawk would be an easy thing to do since they'll simply be engine swaps into existing models, the others will take some time. If Jeep can fix the bugs with a Wagoneer, a Grand Wagoneer Hellcat could easily enter the fight within the next several months to take on the Escalade V and steal sales. Stellantis could, for once, steal sales from other brands rather than losing sales to every other brand over the past year. But let me know what you guys think about these 6 Halo vehicles that could save Stellantis and bring customers back into the showrooms. Is there a vehicle that I miss? Or is there a vehicle that you guys would like? Or will these options entice you to give Stellantis another chance? Let me know what you guys think, and until the next time, I'm out.